Well, over the last 12 hours, late last night, early this morning, about 30 different tornadoes ripped across the Midwest, uh, through starting in Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee, I believe, over the night. Think that, you know, people are still going through the rubble, and my heart goes out to anybody affected by this. And I'll be keeping an eye out for some like humanitarian aid stuff popping up next week and try to help out. It's a rough time of year. It's 2 weeks, 3 weeks before Christmas. 100 people at least will not be coming home tomorrow, maybe more. Thousands more losing everything they have, their homes, all their worldly possessions. Thankfully, they are still alive, some not so lucky. It's one of those things where, it feels like 10 years ago, we would all come together and say like, man, whew, stinks, right? Tornadoes are something that we deal with in the Midwest. Wisconsin, we get them every year. So they're obviously a little more common down south in the Panhandle and things like that. Kansas and Missouri and areas like that. Hundreds and hundreds of tornadoes every year. And it's one of the most beautiful and terrifying things if you've ever seen one. I don't know, all across the world where exactly tornadoes happen and they don't. I know I'm sure it's not a uniquely United States thing, but, when they rip through a small town, it's just as damaging now as it was 100 years ago. Even with early warning systems in place, it can be difficult to get to a place of safety. And, if you look at some of these things, like where I live in Wisconsin, we have a basement, but that won't stop all the stuff from on top of you falling on you. Every time the siren goes off, I have to run around the house and try to get as many cats as I can, get my dogs in the basement. We go sit in the corner and I try to corral them, but sometimes eventually you got to just hope for the best and you can get yourself downstairs. It's super scary. Some houses don't even have basements. A lot of people live in mobile homes, things like that. There is nowhere to go. There's only, you pray. Some trailer parks have storm shelters, but not all of them. So, I think it's a really, really rough thing. And again, a few years ago, we would have all just agreed that it's terrible, but not today, not with Hollywood, not with authors out there who are blaming this. Hollywood director is blaming the people of Kentucky, essentially saying, you did this to yourself. You deserve this. Last night, tornadoes ripped through several states, causing many to lose their lives in massive devastation. One of the hardest hit states was Kentucky, where the governor is saying it's between 75 and 100 people, and I'm sure that number is going to rise. Unfortunately, those who pay attention to politics knew that what would happen next. Time to play the political blame game by claiming that if only certain Republicans would have backed Democrat proposals, severe weather could have been avoided. I'm not kidding you. This is a Hollywood director's hot take. First of all, I believe climate change is something that's important, okay? I don't subscribe to climate change TM. I think people should recycle. I think people should take care of their environment. People should plant trees. People should not litter. People should be careful when they're, burning brush. All the normal things that a normal person would believe in. That's not what, the climate change TM is in big government. What that is taking trillions or hundreds of billions of tax dollars and packing the pockets of whoever, I guess, wants to qualify. I don't support that. I support us looking at, the major textile industries, which are pouring pollution into the air. The textile industry, China, India, Vietnam, these places. Now, I don't obviously blame the people. What I'm saying is, if we're going to import all this stuff, can we have some minimum requirements on pollution? Can we incentivize them to be, cleaner stuff? We don't want that because of the cheap stuff. right? When it comes down to it, this kind of stuff is inconvenient to much cheap stuff. But Noelle Scovell, probably good considering the spicy take, she writes, "Sorry, Kentucky. Maybe if two of your senators hadn't spent decades blocking legislation to reduce climate change, you wouldn't be suffering from climate disasters." By the way, a tornado is not a climate disaster. They've existed since before the steam engine, okay? And the same idiots on Twitter who are like, ooh, a December tornado. This is proof of climate change. Again, December tornadoes have existed since before the steam engine. You wouldn't be suffering climate change disasters. If it's any consolation, Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul have effed all of us over too. What? First of all, do you got that same energy with the Democratic run state, Chicago, where people lost their lives to this exact same tornado? Do you know how these people who passed away from this voted? Maybe they were Democratic voters. Some of the replies. I was waiting for when the libs would say that they could have voted the tornado away. Yes, tornadoes never happened before, quote, climate change. A nice empathy for people who lost their lives. What an awful person. It's not even, yes, the people that lost their lives, but let's not forget the orders of magnitude more people that lost everything that they owned. Yes, because a piece of legislation on paper would have stopped 100-mile-an-hour tornadoes. If only they had passed legislation banning tornadoes. Some of the. Here's Andrew Follett, scientist here. The tornado in this part of the country are in no way related to global warming. Most disasters, in fact, are not, as you claimed without evidence. In 1925, 750 people lost their lives and 2,300 were injured in basically the exact same area 100 years ago. Which law they blocked would stop tornadoes? It's sick. And this person, by the way, is an author and a Hollywood director. Now, fortunately, they're getting ratioed into oblivion. But what I'm concerned with is that there's 500 likes. 500 people liked this post, which is it even still here? I wonder. Yeah, here. 9,600 comments to 500 likes. The 500 people that liked this, Lord help you. I see that Noelle Scovell also wrote a book, Just the Funny Parts, a few hard truths about sneaking into Hollywood's boys club. 300 total ratings. I'm assuming that tens of people enjoyed this book. But, this is somebody who worked on The Simpsons, who worked on Murphy Brown, who worked on The Late Show, Charmed, a wide variety of shows like that. I don't know how people get like this, but, I think that it's important. You see here, think before dancing on people's graves to score political points. And here's a picture of the aftermath, it appears to be. I don't know if it's, from this time. I don't know exactly, but ha ha ha. Own them. Own the Republicans. What is this? By the way, this is somebody, pronouns in the bio, obviously, but it's sad to see individuals like this who our expectations were low, but holy F, that one's always a good, the classic Simpsons. So you've decided to tweet this. Here's why you shouldn't have. This is what's good is, obviously you see a lot of people on both sides of the aisle here getting involved. Libertarian Party here. It would have made literally zero difference, but I bet you felt really good about yourself after tweeting this. Here's the clown post. Love that. Chester Cheetah. It's sad. I hope that, I hope that if you see people like this, that you don't engage with them, because there's literally nothing good that's coming out of this person's mouth. It's deeply, deeply sick. And yeah, they're getting the ratio, but this is somebody who doesn't even really understand climate change, right? I don't think climate disasters happen are localized and dependent on how you vote, idiot. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.